Hello there and happy Wednesday. My name is Julie Hirschberg, the owner, founder of Re+active Therapy and Wellness here in the LA area. And joining you this week to talk all things dizziness. Particularly, we're talking about 3PD this week because some of the recent literature that has come out, and because I am going to get to talk to the lovely Andrea this Friday in a Facebook Live. She is a person that came to Re+active for what she called Dizziness Camp. Actually, I love that she called it that, but she has 3PD and she spent time with us working with our team and really has had some great strides. She's been sharing a lot of what she's been doing. She's been dancing. She's been on point. She's heading back to the grocery store, which is really exciting. So she's going to join me live on Friday on our Facebook page. So you can join us on Friday. And as usual, I've been reading different things in the literature. We've been talking a lot about I'm just going to fix my camera here. We've been talking a lot about dizziness because we have a free webinar coming up next week on vestibular migraine. And so I've been kind of diving back into the literature, looking at things, and I shared an article, just a couple of weeks ago, and been really excited about it. And I've talked about it on a couple lives, but I wanted to hit on this piece. If you're not familiar with 3PD, this was in the article on functional neurologic disorders, and it was an update looking at the different subtypes and mechanisms and putting very clearly here, the amazing researcher in the field of 3PD, last name Staub, contributed to this article, the Diagnostic Criteria of 3PD. So I put this in the post from today. If you're not familiar with 3PD, persistent, perceptual, postural, sometimes I get the order of those wrong. The diagnostic criteria are here. They've been published. And really what we're looking at is those 3 Ps, something that's persisting greater than 3 months, with changes in postural. It's a perceptual level of dizziness. So I wanted to highlight those articles, or that piece from this article on subtypes of FND, to highlight 3PD as a subtype of FND. So that was the first thing. And then I wanted to share another one here. And that is some of what I've been reading, and it's on the Nagata. So let me just pull that up here. So this article came out this year, and it's called Presence of Exacerbating Factors of Persistent Perceptual Postural Dizziness in Patients with Vestibular Symptoms at Initial Presentation. So this was really interesting to me. Even the title grabbed my interest because I was like, could we maybe screen for this at onset of a vestibular symptom? So what they did, and I'm going to look at some of my notes from the article here, is they had 155 consecutive patients with vestibular disorders. And these were all people that presented acutely, so within 90 days of their vestibular disorder. And they had them fill out the Nagata 3PD questionnaire. I'm going to show you the questionnaire in the moment. If you're not familiar with it, this is something that Brittany Charlet, our concussion program director, brought my attention to, and we've started to use it. So hang on one second. I have to help my family here and let them in the door. So this is, I'll show you the actual questionnaire here in a moment. If you're not familiar with it, we call it the NPQ, but it's a really quick questionnaire, 12 questions, really looking at exacerbating factors of 3PD. It's been shown to be reliable and valid too, so I think it's a great self-report outcome measure if you haven't used it before. So what they did is they actually gave this though to everybody presenting to the dizziness clinic, and really looking at if people had positive NPQ scores. A positive score is greater than 27 points on the test. And actually 50% of the people in the study actually had positive NPQ scores. So meaning that they had some of those exacerbating factors for 3PD. And the high NPQ scores were actually found in those people that had a vestibular neuritis, or what they called psychogenic dizziness, which I'm just going to fix their wording there and call that functional dizziness instead, because we know now that it's not all psychogenic. So what they then looked at from these people is which ones actually ended up going on to have 3PD. And this is kind of some of the things that we want to understand is like, people get vestibular neuritis, they get BPPV, they get dizziness episodes, and they go on to recovery without having 3PD. And how might we identify people early on and help them and help prevent this from happening, right? Like, that's what it is to me. Like, I would hope that no one in the world would get 3PD. Can we prevent it by identifying some of these factors earlier? And what they did find is that the NPQ scores of the people who developed 3PD were significantly higher than the people that did not develop 3PD. And so ideally, we would kind of have a score, a screening score. They didn't go that far as to have a like kind of cutoff score. But I will tell you, those who developed 3PD had average score of 40. And those who did not develop 3PD had an average score of 26. So you can see there's a big difference there. So could we possibly predict, could we possibly prevent 3PD? I think that's really worth looking into. So basically what they found is that half of the patients with vestibular neuritis, BPPV, dizziness events actually have these exacerbating factors for 3PD, and the higher scores, that like average score of 40 or more, really led to, indicated those, or that, I shouldn't say indicated, I'm taking it too far. I'm taking statistics too far. The people who ended up developing 3PD had a higher average score on the NPQ. So if you're not familiar with the NPQ, I did just grab a little screenshot of it here. This is the article. A validated questionnaire assesses the severity of 3PD, the Nagata 3PD questionnaire, so NPQ. And I wanted just to show you, hopefully I got it here. Here's a little table from that exact article of the question. So quick movements, looking at large store displays. I'm having trouble talking here. Walking at a natural pace, watching TV, riding a car, bus, or train, sitting upright in a seat without back and arm support. So you can see that these questions are very specific to 3PD and even the diagnostic criteria, but those exacerbating factors of 3PD. So if you're not using the NPQ, I highly recommend it. This is what we've been using for our clients with 3PD, and have found it really, really helpful in our looking at their outcomes, because you can imagine as people progress and get better, they're going to have a lower score. And like this article, so again, let me pull this article up so you can see what it was. This is the article that I was chatting about here, the presence of exacerbating factors of persistent perceptual postural dizziness in patients with vestibular symptoms at initial onset and presentation. So at this point with the NPQ, they're really using it as a potential screening tool, I think, for prevention, right? So prevent 3PD. If we can screen for it early, can we actually intervene so we can prevent the visual dominance that occurs? We can uptrain the sensory system so the person is not relying primarily on vision. So this is really quick. I wanted to just jump in here and share this hot off the press article with you and how we're using the NPQ. And possibly this should be something that we might do for those that we see the potential for developing 3PD. Wouldn't that be great? I think that would be amazing. So I want to invite you, though, join me on Friday on our Facebook page. I'm going to do a live interview with one of our clients who completed a integrative intensive program for 3PD with us and has been so great about sharing some of her progress that she's had and just getting back to life, getting back to shopping, getting back to dancing. She's a dancer. So getting back to the things that she loves as she has started to recover from 3PD. So join me on Friday. That's at 12:30. And then if you're a healthcare provider and want to learn from the dizziness masters themselves, Catherine, Jamie are doing a free webinar for us on vestibular migraine. It's next week. You can join on Tuesday or Saturday. There's 2 options. And it's free. It's a free webinar, 90 minutes of learning with some of the best in the dizziness world. So we're so excited to have them, and we'll be hosting that next week. There's a link in our bio, or you can check out reactiveeducation.com. As usual, I'm going to send out all the links from this video, from all the videos that we do during the week in our newsletter. If you're not on that already, join us at reactiveeducation.com. I'll send a link to this video and to these articles as well. If you're already on the newsletter, you know it'll come to your inbox on Friday or Monday. And I just want to thank you for your interest in all things neuro and for learning and growing with us here at Reactive. So have a great day, have a great week, and I will see you soon.